Hi there, it's Jeremy Langner from Winnipeg, Manitoba, and I'm a seminary student at Lutheran Seminary in St. Paul, Minnesota. And today I want to talk to you about something that we've been trying here at my home congregation, St. Mark's Lutheran, which is called the Sanctuary at St. Mark's. And the Sanctuary is basically a Friday evening alternative worship service that runs once a month. And it's an opportunity to explore some things that are a little bit harder to do on Sunday morning. So different opportunities to build community, different ways of praying together, of exploring scripture, and discussing what it means for our lives. So I hope to give you a tour of the kinds of things that we've been trying here at the sanctuary and talk to you a little bit about some of the things we've learned. One of the first things we do, and probably one of the most important things we do, is have coffee. So this is usually an evening service. We get together about 7 o'clock and sit down for coffee. As people are coming in, they can join us. This is kind of an opportunity to get to know each other a little better, chat about some things that have been happening in our week and in our lives, and also an opportunity to talk a little bit about some of the tasks for the service. I usually hand out cards that people can pick up that will give them a sense of some things that they can help out with during the service. So whether that's cleaning up the kitchen afterwards or lighting the candle or doing a reading. As we begin our gathering time for worship, we usually start by lighting a candle. It's just that moment to center ourselves, to pause for reflection, and just to allow ourselves to be fully present in the moment together. So you can see here too, one of the things that I like to set out is some instruments in the middle of the space. I usually lead worship with a guitar. We sing some songs, but one of the things I try to do is lower the distance between the leader and everyone else participating. And so in order to facilitate that, we have some instruments out. So if people want to pick up an instrument and play along as we sing, they can do that. So I've got a hand drum and some tambourines and shakers. I think it's important to realize that whenever we gather together as a community, we never are all in the same place, especially emotionally. We're all coming from different situations in our life, and it's good to be able to acknowledge that and to recognize that it's okay to bring the things that we're bringing into this space and this time together, and also to be able to listen to each other. So one of the ways we do that is by starting off with inviting folks to come here, which is actually the piano, and I have some emotion cards laid out, and they can take a look and see if there's an emotion card that connects with where they're at right now. And there's an opportunity then to share that with the group, to talk a little bit about the things that we're feeling, to listen to each other emotionally, and just to connect as a group. So, you know, it's right after lunch right now, and I think I'm feeling a little lethargic. I think that's where I am right now. As you can see behind me, when we move into the sanctuary, we gather in a circle, which is a great way to facilitate community. You can hear each other's voices, you can see each other's faces, you can really communicate with each other in a way that isn't possible if you're all sitting in pews facing the front. So one of the things that you'll notice over here is the children's table, and this is something that's really intentional for us to make sure that when children come, they're welcome and they're a part of the worship event, and it also just helps parents to know that they're welcome and they can be fully present with their children, with their families. So we have a little children's table with some books and some toys and crayons and things like that. When I talk to people about the sanctuary, I sometimes call it a bit of a cross between a small group and a worship service. We are usually pretty small, about 8 to 15 people, and try to incorporate a lot of discussion and things like that into the service. So although we do worship, we have some music, there's time for prayer and things like that. There's also time for discussion as a group and listening to each other, which is really critical. So when we sing together, that's usually led with a guitar. And we've been able to experiment with different kinds of things, different kinds of elements, especially of prayer, contemplative prayer, popcorn prayer kind of thing, silent prayer, even just praying by lighting candles. One of the things that we've done is a bit of an adaptation of Holden prayers around the cross, the prayer for the healing of the nations. And so in the center of the circle, we've set up a map of the world and taken time to sing the prayer for the healing of the nations litany and to light a candle and place it on a country or a specific place that you might be thinking of or praying for. And that's a really meaningful, a really powerful ritual that we do together from time to time. So what have I learned from this year at the sanctuary? Well, the first thing that I've learned is if I were to do this again, I would really take the time to build a team of leaders to move this forward before actually starting the initiative. And the reason why I say that is I pitched this idea having sort of an idea of where I wanted to go with it, but also wanting to take time to experiment and just kind of put it out in the real world and see what worked, see what didn't, and have that be the thing that people could say, oh, I get it, I know what this is about now. And what I found was that over time this just became Jeremy's project, so to speak. So other people weren't invested in the same way that I was. And that's a problem because I will be leaving at some point in time, and if others aren't invested in it, then it won't carry forward. So if I were to do this again, I really would try to build a team first of people who would be interested in trying this new thing. The second thing that I really learned is the importance of personal invitation. And I would say that about 80% of the people that came to the sanctuary came because of a personal invitation, either by myself or from a friend. And that isn't just came the first time, but subsequent times as well. People returned because they were invited again or reminded that the event was happening or things like that. So that personal invitation is really key. And I found that there was 3 types of yes responses that could happen. And the first one I call the consumer. And so the consumer says, yeah, I'd be interested in coming to that. So it's really, that sounds interesting to me. I'd like to check it out. It may be an experience that I would enjoy, but there's a lot of other options out there, and if something else comes up, I'm not necessarily committed, that kind of thing. So that's the consumer. The next type of person is the patient, who says, I think that would be good for me. So they recognize that there is a need that they have, whether it's for spiritual growth or for healing or for connection and community. And they recognize that, coming to the sanctuary, participating in this event can help them meet that need. So it's still kind of focused on them, but there is a little more commitment because they see that it's important for their own health. And the third type of person is what I'd call the co-conspirator, who might actually say, yeah, I want to be a part of that. And for co-conspirators to get on board, to respond, I think you really need to have a really strong and compelling and clear articulation of your mission and your vision and your values. And if you don't have that, then they don't have anything to say, yeah, I want to be a part of that. They don't have anything to say, where is this going? What's the direction, and why would I invest my energy into it? So that's one of the things I really learned, is to be able to develop that clear articulation so that you can bring people on board and into it and create a movement instead of just this product that people consume. So I would say that right now, most of the people that have attended the sanctuary probably fall into that consumer category, into the category of, yeah, I'd like to check that out. There are several people that kind of fall into that patient category, say, this is good for me. I know it's good for me. Even if I can't make it there all the time, I know it's something that fulfills a need for me. But the co-conspirator group is the one that I think I'd really want to build moving forward, so that this has a life of its own and it's not just me trying to keep moving it forward. So those are some of the things that I've learned. I've really enjoyed this experiment over the year, and I've enjoyed sharing it with you. So I hope that you've learned something through this video. And thank you so much for watching. Bye now.